Georgia. Everyone has their hopes up about Georgia, and mine may be creeping up a little bit because Raphael Warnock is really a nutball. This is something people don't talk enough about. The guy is a nut, but Georgia seems blue now to me, Josh. We don't even have a senator from the state of Georgia anymore, which is amazing. But Walker looks like he might win. I don't know.
Well, part of that is due to Brian Kemp's coattails. I mean, the polling for Brian Kemp over Stacey Abrams is really quite lopsided right now. I mean, the last couple polls I've seen out of the Georgia gubernatorial race have Kemp up by as much as 10, 11 points. Looking almost like he's winning by a DeSantis over Chris margin. I mean, it's not quite that high, but I mean, Brian Kemp is looking like he's going to be a lock over Stacey Abrams at this point. Stacey Abrams' campaign, by the way, started to pull some television advertising. I mean, they're basically just throwing in the towel at this point. So Herschel Walker, for all of his baggage, and there obviously is a good amount of baggage there, it looks like, from my perspective, that Brian Kemp could basically just drag him across the finish line. And, Herschel Walker, to his credit, I mean, in his his lone debate against Raphael Warnock 2 weeks ago, whenever that debate was, he did quite well. I mean, Herschel Walker showed up to play in that debate. He held his own and then some. I would say he actually outright won that debate based on the clip that I saw after the fact. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about Herschel right now as well. I mean, I think my final U.S. Senate prediction right now is probably 53 seats for Republicans. I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, if that gets to 54. That would mean New Hampshire. But I'm feeling pretty good about 53, 52 at the absolute worst.
Okay, Josh, I'm scared to death about Arizona for a couple of different reasons. One, because Blake Masters is one of the very few candidates that genuinely inspires me and gives me some hope about the future of the GOP. And two, I have run for office in Arizona, as you well know. We were friends way back then as well. And I won on Election Day. I beat Gabrielle Giffords handily on Election Day, but I ended up losing the election by 4,000 votes. Why? Because lots of people, like half of them, vote early in Arizona. So yeah, Blake Masters looking good now. Back when a bunch of people were voting, he wasn't. Give me some hope.
Well, Jesse, I know in your own run there in Arizona, there was also kind of a third-party libertarian spoiler, which definitely could potentially be a problem this time around as well. I mean, that libertarian candidate was on that debate stage with Blake Masters and Mark Kelly, if I recall. I think the polling there is roughly 2-3%. I mean, at this point, honestly, abolishing the Libertarian Party and preventing it from getting ballot access, I think, honestly, I'm literally not kidding. I think that has to be a pressing Republican Party policy fraud, because we've seen how this game is played, and it's frankly just awful. As far as kind of the case for Blake at this point, and I've discussed Blake with you on this very show of, full disclosure, I know him personally. I'm a huge fan of past senator. Look, he has all the momentum on his side right now. I think for weeks, for months on end, it was looking like Mark Kelly was in fairly good shape. He had massive income war chest. He's an astronaut. We know the whole story there. The polls have dramatically tightened. Literally this morning, if I remember correctly, I think I saw the Cook Political Report and Politico shift that race from lean Democrat to toss-up. And you and I know how this works. Early voting, like we said, we were talking about Pennsylvania, is a big problem everywhere. But those late-breaking votes at this point are swinging massively to Blake Masters. And they're swinging to Republicans all across the country. So I would feel cautiously optimistic if I were the Blake Masters campaign. Also, Carrie Lake is going to beat Katie Hobbs probably by a similar 4 to 5 point margin, something similar to what's going to happen elsewhere. So she could drag Blake across the finish line the same way that Kemp could pull Herschel across the finish line in Georgia.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, Che Guevara, the latest episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.